Hey everyone, it's Prime with Iron Octopus Fitness and it is Technique Tuesday. Today we're going to focus on the good morning. It's another type of hip hinge. It's pretty similar to the Romanian deadlift. I'm going to talk about how it's different and why you shouldn't progress to it until you're absolutely ready. So let's look at the good morning, the exercise. So if you haven't watched the hip hinge / Romanian deadlift Technique Tuesday, you should definitely go and watch it. It is linked in the description. The really important parts is that a hip hinge is exactly what it sounds like. It is hinging at the hips. All of your movement starts by pushing your hips back before anything else moves. Any movement that happens in your knees right here is incidental to your hip hinge. So when my hips push back, my knees are soft and they start to bend to create more room for my hips to go back, but I'm not actively using muscles to bend my knee. It is something that is happening so that there's more room for my hip hinge. In a Romanian deadlift, my weight is closer to the bottom. I'm holding it in my hands about shoulder width apart, and I'm going to bring it closer to the ground by dragging it down in front of me, and then I'm going to squeeze through the top and come back up. As I go down, from my head down to my tailbone, my entire back stays in a flat, straight line. I don't want my head tilting up, I don't want my back rounding, and I definitely don't want to arch through my lower back. So all that has to stay nice and flat. I gave a little demonstration on how to make sure that happens in the Romanian deadlift video. So again, it's in the description. You should go and watch it. The difference between a Romanian deadlift and a good morning is that we're going to move where the weight is centered. So in a Romanian deadlift, I showed you we hold it in our hands. It's kind of a bottom loaded lift. For a good morning, it's going to be more of a top loaded lift, which means that I'm going to bring the weight up and set it across my shoulders as though I'm going to do a back squat. When you bring the weight up and put it across your shoulders for a good morning, you are getting a lot more work through your erector spinae, which is the muscles in your back, and also your deep core muscles. So it's really, really great, but because you are challenging those muscles in your back, it can go really wrong really quickly. The caveat to trying a good morning is that you need to 100% have nailed your hip hinge and Romanian deadlift form before you move the weight. You cannot bring the weight from the bottom of this lift up to the top until you are 100% perfect on your form. Or if you are not keeping your back flat and you're rounding your upper back, or you're arching your lower back, or you're cranking your head out, you can do a lot of damage to your spine, which is not what we want. This exercise is not inherently bad for your back as long as you do it properly. That being said, a good morning is exactly the same as a Romanian deadlift, except you're going to bring the barbell up onto your shoulders like this. So now the weight is higher up on my body. It's above my center of gravity. It's going to put more compression and work through my spine and the muscles in my back, which is totally fine, again, as long as your form is correct. Here, it's extra important that you are keeping everything flat and straight from your tailbone to your upper back and shoulder blades all the way up to the back of your head, but everything else is the same. It's going to start with a push backwards from your hips. Your knees will probably bend slightly to create more room, and at the end of the movement, you're going to be almost parallel to the ground, and then you're going to come back up. So the thing that's really great about a good morning is that not only are you getting all of that posterior chain work through your glutes and hamstrings like you do with the Romanian deadlift, but you're also getting a lot more work through the back muscles that surround your spine and also through your deep core muscles. Please make sure that you are 100% confident with your Romanian deadlift before you move on to a good morning. They are pretty much the same movement. The biggest thing to keep in mind is it's a hip hinge, and from here to here needs to be flat, completely flat the whole time. So that's the good morning. And again, if I didn't make it 100% clear, you do not get to move to the good morning until your Romanian deadlift is perfect. But when you're ready, the good morning is another great way to continue to challenge all of the muscles in your posterior chain and to mix it up so you don't get bored. That's it. Bye.